So let's start, every year we have people come back, and many of the people in the room, you've been doing amazing things in Detroit and for Detroit. And we try to highlight a few each year just to give you an idea of what's going on the rest of the year. And so we have a panel this morning, not really a panel, but each of 5 people are going to make a short presentation. If I could welcome to the stage Matt Temkin from Greatwater, Teresa Cole-Ship, Christina Leidke, Teresa Sebastian, and Diego Reyes. If they could just have a seat, and we're going to take turns talking about their outcomes. No, it's anywhere. Okay, well, listen, we have an order on the screen here, so why don't we start with you, Matt? Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing? We did, in the real estate tour, we did have Jed spoke at the real estate forum, but you have a different take on the Greatwater story.
Yeah, sure. Same company, but yeah. I grew up in Farmington and moved out to New York 20 years ago, and about 10 years ago, I was like gripped with this fear that if something happened in Detroit and I wasn't a part of it, I would grow up being like a bad dad, old guy, angry. Anyway, and so I started going back and forth to Detroit, just walking around different neighborhoods and getting a feel for the place. And I got the sense that there were like a lot of obstacles to Detroit's progress, but housing was one that really jumped out at me. And I felt like if there were a lot of people who wanted to move to the city, but there were no good apartments to live in, then that was going to be a problem. And so really, I did some other things too. I opened a barber shop downtown. That was great. I met my partners, Jed and Justin, through that. There's like a million different things to say. It's sort of like, I don't know what it was, but I just felt compelled to like do something. And anyway, so did the barbershop, met Jed and Justin. Justin was like, are you a barber? And I was like, no, I'm a real estate lawyer, And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And so I told him what I was thinking about housing. And there were all these great old buildings in Detroit that, for a long, long time had not seen any investment. But at the core, were really beautiful. They were built with incredible materials, and those things were there. And if you could kind of grind them down and polish them up, it was there for the taking. So anyway, we put a group together and started buying apartments in different neighborhoods. And the thesis is kind of like beautiful old buildings, clean them up, a little bit bohemian. Time makes things, so keep the wood floors, keep the old cabinets, keep the terrazzo. And what we end up with, I think, is like a really beautiful product that's relatively affordable. Our stuff goes up to $1,200 a month, but it's also mostly $900 a month. And if you're making $15 an hour, you can actually afford that. So the basic thesis is just to create a lot of beautiful housing in these old buildings in Detroit that appeal to a wide range of people and are affordable for that same range of people.
Thank you. I think we have some slides, do we not, of some of the projects of Greatwater? If we could just show a couple of those slides.
They're great looking.
Yeah,
let me
maybe we
tell
don't
you,
have any slides. I know
anyway,
we do, but no? Okay, I'm very sorry. We don't have the slides ready yet. Next, thank you very much, Matt. And,
yeah, sure.
And there's a more elaborate outcome description with some of the photos in the program book. Teresa, why don't you join us?
Sorry for the grand entrance, but in my business we have a joke about it's always you're waiting on sound, but I really was waiting on sound.
Okay. All right. So, there we are. There's the Greatwater Opportunity Capital slide. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, so these are just some of the cool old buildings. That's the Palms, El Tovar. These buildings, if you drive around Detroit and you see them, you're just like, oh my God, these were built when Detroit was printing cash, sparing no expense on materials. And so we've just been bringing them back on the inside. At this point, we've got about 1,500 units. We're continuing to push into new projects. We're trying to do some new construction adjacent to the old buildings, and then we're also going to be launching a for-sale detached single-family program this year. every year we see people leave our ecosystem and go buy an old home in the neighborhoods where their apartment buildings are, and almost nobody knows what they're getting into. It's, you know, the amount of time and money and everything that goes into that. And so what we want to do is we want to create new homes in vintage neighborhoods. We think that there's something that can be really appealing for people to step in, be able to manage, but still be in the old neighborhoods that they love so much. So that's the other thing that's coming. But you can see kind of, you know, those are all old floors there that we keep, you know, the brick where you can have it. And again, I mean, these things rent for $900 or $1,000 a month. Some cheaper, like the one bottom right, is renting for probably $750.
Now, doesn't that want to make people move home? I mean, $1,000 a month.
I mean, it's, you know, you think nationally, I mean, there's all this huge shortage, and so if places like Detroit can have more of this kind of stuff available, it's good for Detroit, good for America. Anyway, we're working on it.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Teresa, I remember when I first met you at Homecoming, and you told me, I'm going to do something in Detroit. I am going to do something. So why don't you tell us your story?
Well, I'm Teresa. I'm a television producer and director, and I'm based in Toronto. And probably not unlike a lot of expats, I come home to visit my family. My family's north of the city. And what was happening in Detroit wasn't sort of really on my radar. My brother Mike, who I think is here, if he's not somewhere on Jefferson Avenue, well, he is here, has been a state legislator for a long time and a real Detroit booster, and he was always telling me, put aside some time so we can go downtown and I can show you what's happening. But somehow that really never happened. So when I was invited to my first homecoming, which was 2018, I had been doing some research on Detroit because I wanted to get a doc off the ground here. That one didn't work out, but it was when I was in the room at Homecoming, listening to people, seeing the presentations, I really got excited about Detroit all over again and what was happening here. So early this year, I had a challenge and an opportunity. A TV show I was producing in Dallas, which is a factual series, for a variety of reasons needed to find a new home. And I put my hand up and said, I'm pushing it to Detroit. So my first challenge was finding a host. The show was about organizing, and I needed a professional organizer. So I was able to find a professional organizer here in Detroit. She's actually with us today. I'd like to introduce her. Her name is Michael Toko. Michael, can you stand up so people can see where you are? And next to Michael is Rodney Tompkins, who is her on-camera sidekick. Thank you. Thank you for coming this morning. I know you both love mornings. So that was challenge one met. Challenge two was I had a really truncated pre-production period. So I did what I have discovered a lot of people do. I called her. And apparently that's a very popular thing to do if you're in Michigan. Just, you know, speed dial, Mary Kramer. And Mary connected me with a vast network of people who were so helpful, so accomplished, that having to cast 25 episodes, which is daunting, all of a sudden became, well, this is easy. I just hire Mary to cast the damn thing. So very quickly, we were doing episodes of Chaos to Calm Detroit with the Pistons, with Bagley Mansion, with Motown Museum, with Marygrove Conservancy, and a list of the most welcoming and warm and super accomplished homeowners you've ever seen. So it evolved, and the network was super generous and really allowed me to brand it as a Detroit project, which I have to tell you, in the broadcast industry, can be a bit of a challenge. I was really thrilled that they were really open to this. And thanks to Cranes and Homecoming and Mary, in January of this coming year, On Aspire Network, people will have the opportunity to watch Michael and Rodney take on organizing projects in homes, offices, businesses on Aspire TV. And we actually shot 2 seasons, 25 episodes when we're here. And I do believe we have
a segment. Yep, we have a trailer.
Yeah, it's a little promo, and the network actually sped this through to get it to us, and it'll give you an idea of how they've branded this as a Detroit project.
Coming in January.
Stop right here. Okay. And you can open.
You sure?
You can open. Come on.
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
This is amazing.
New season.
Woo. Man. Whoa. Yeah. I see why you guys call me.
New city.
This is so cool.
New host.
My name is Michael Toko, and when you're a girl named Michael, you stand out.
And she means business.
Okay, Rodney. Get a rag.
You know, Michael, it's so cool that we are over here working in this area. Like the Boston Edison district, it's history over here, for real.
Yeah.
I'm talking Henry Ford, the Fishers.
I mean, and those are people who built the city of Detroit.
Step into the new year with the queen of organization.
I will create a system that will function and reflect the image that you yourself have for your shop. I'm gonna go meet her, come up with a plan that works for her life. Labeling is an easy way and a quick way to find what you're looking for.
And restore order to some serious dysfunction.
This home is 1,000% a fixer-upper.
When Merlin opened the front door, I was like, what the what? When I first saw the space, I realized we had a lot of work to do to bring that space back to life. Sometimes as an organizer, you have to just put on the rubber gloves and start cleaning.
From historic homes.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
Famous museums.
Diana Ross.
Marvin Gaye.
Smokey Robinson.
Antique car garages.
No way. We don't, do we?
We organize. We organize anything. We're miracle workers. Come on.
And so much more.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You sure you're ready?
I'm positive. I'm ready.
Positive.
All from the Motor City.
I want to give them this beautiful happy ever after.
Let's give them the ending they deserve.
Yes.
Say goodbye to chaos and let Michael Toko bring the calm to your life.
This is good. Get going so I can get started.
Okay.
Chaos to Calm, Season 3, coming in January, only on Aspire.
Let's do this. Come on.
I don't think anybody's going to watch that and think it was Dallas.
That's great. Thank you so much, Teresa. Next up, Christine Leitke.
Yes. Hi. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here. And thank you for having me here. So I'm about a 2-year returned expat. I think I moved back August of 2020 from the pandemic, so I'm just shy of getting past 2 years. And it has just been an amazing experience coming back here. I was living in New York for 10 years. Before that was Chicago, before that Boston, before that Chicago, before that London. So I'd kind of lived everywhere. And when the pandemic hit, I came home. I coincidentally had to be here. And I had a flight out of New York. And I spent 3 months. I packed for extended period of time, not knowing when I was going to return to New York. And I came, I think I was here for 3 months, and then I returned to New York, and I went back to New York, and I thought, what am I doing here? This is not home anymore. And so I had been working for corporate America. My background is actually in marketing, brand marketing, sales strategy, many things with the beauty care industry. And so I was working for L'Oreal at the time, and so many things happened within that 1 month of returning to New York, and everything just fell beautifully into place that 2 months later I was back living in Detroit. And a lot of the influence to come back was because of Detroit Homecoming. I'd been, this is my, I think, seventh year of attendance, and the influence of looking at arts and culture here, looking at real estate here, all the different topics and interests and growth that was happening in Detroit really made me want to center my roots here from a personal perspective. And then from a professional perspective, going from corporate, I actually always did some sort of entrepreneurship role on the side. I was always investigating what I could do next. And I had I think two or three different companies on the side, all of it in fashion design. And so when I chose to move back here, I also chose to start my own company. Even though I had kind of started it, it was just not my full-time gig. I brought my company back here and really started to evolve my life here. And it's really been a wonderful experience. You know, the sense of community that I have here, not only professionally and personally, have been really beautiful. The sense of partnership and integration and what we can do and what we can accomplish is much deeper than being in any city that I've ever lived in. And what do I mean by that? That means my clothing company that we do, so what a story is, which we're up in the lobby, so if you want to stop by. What a story does is we take iconic city artwork and we put it on women's clothing. So instead of an I Heart New York City or I Heart Detroit t-shirt or a hoodie, we are putting iconic city artwork, whether it's the skyline, whether it's something that the city stands for, and we're putting it on women's clothing so women have options that not only fit their body type, but also represent their community pride in a bit of a more stylish way. So we do this for 3 different cities. We do it for Detroit, New York, and LA, and we also have a few different cities that we're working with. We're working on Indianapolis this year. We've got a big gig in Indianapolis to do a big event in November, and we're continuing to expand with our merchandise and our partnerships with certain cities. This city has so much pride in it, and we've done so well here with our Detroit collections. We've got a beautiful new fall collection coming out. But we're working with MoCAD and doing a big thing for the MoCAD Gala in October. We're working with a few different other partnerships in collaborations of how do we bring our patterns, how do we bring this art to life in a wearable way, and that's the strength of the community here and the partnerships here. So it's truly exciting to be here because it's kind of like an anniversary of 2 years, as well as the company continues to grow, and personally I continue to evolve, and it really has been because I've centered my roots back here. So.
Thank you, Christina. And if you haven't seen her work, you really need to stop by the space in the atrium. I have worn Christina's apparel at the Opera Ball and at other black tie functions, as well as just hanging out. So there's lots of different options. Thank you very much, Christina. Next on our list, but not in the order on the stage, Teresa Sebastian. Teresa?
Yes. Hi. Hi, it's great to be here. So my history with Homecoming started back in 2015. I left my corporate job, started my own investment firm, and I knew that I wanted to make an impact on Detroit, where I primarily grew up, and lived over in the Chicago, Atkinson area. And so we decided to make a difference, invest with the idea of social impact, job creation, revitalizing the city of Detroit to what I remembered before. So we have several slides, Mary. I don't know if they're teed up. So this is my son, George, who helps in that effort. He grew up here, outside of Detroit, but that's okay. So he will kind of take you through some of the investments that we've made very quickly. We'll flash through that. So we've done some things on the for-profit and nonprofit side.
Yeah, so I mean, I won't go through each of the properties, but basically, as my mom said, we have an eye on social impact, and we invested in a variety of properties ranging from, very residential, single-family homes, multifamily homes, all the way up to high-end, high-rises, and including, the Foundation Hotel, amongst others. And, the Corner, Ducharme Place, I mean, really, just a variety of different places. But with the eye on social impact, I would say, more than any of the real estate properties, one of our favorite investments has been in the record label Assemble Sound. And that comes after that. And the reason we were initially attracted to Assemble Sound, outside of just their impeccable taste and taste in artists and music, was the crown jewel property that they decided to invest in. It's church and rectory. It's right next to now what is the Ford building, but it's the old train station. And we were really attracted to that because it really fit with their mission, you know, and it was really incredible to see how they linked not only their property to their mission, but also, you know, with their artists and everything, with the residency and bringing artists into the rectory and making it kind of a very family oriented record label. So they really started with, you know, doing music licensing for TV and movies, and then that bridged over into now what they do. They did a JV with Atlantic Records, so that's incredible. That happened maybe about a year ago. And since that time, they have gotten all their artists, you know, really into like Rolling Stone, Billboard, and it's just blown up into this incredible thing. So we actually have a slide where you get a little taste of their music and their artists.
But the nice thing about that investment, it has grown, and now the property is up for sale. We've outgrown that. They're looking for another location here within Detroit. So again, the good news is that they had history right at the base of the train station, and now we're moving and hoping to continue the growth. Yep. You can see the impact that that Assemble has had on Detroit.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'll get a little taste of the music. I think it's the last slide.
The next slide. Yeah. Next slide. There.
Is it audio?
Yeah, all you have to do is click on the slide.
There's no music.
Okay.
Sorry, Teresa.
Something happened.
Yeah,
Okay.
something happened, technical mishap.
Okay.
But
so the next thing that we want to bring to your attention is we have not only focused on the for-profit, but there should be some slides to show our nonprofit involvement.
just if you could briefly describe that.
Absolutely, absolutely we can. So we have, back at the homecoming in 2016 at Cass Tech, there was a focus on nonprofits, and because my mom was a teacher at the City of Detroit for 30 years, I wanted to make an impact on the educational system here. So for the past several years, we have been funding a music program at the Waldorf School. And during COVID, those funds came in handy quite a bit because they were able to continue the music program outside. So that's our nonprofit side.
Business and nonprofit. Thank you so much, Teresa.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and your son. Our final outcome presentation is Diego Reyes. It's another real estate venture, if I understand
another
that
boring
correctly.
real estate guy.
There you go.
Now, you weren't boring at all, by the way.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.
I appreciate it.
Hi, everybody. I'm a very proud son of Detroit that spent a lot of time away and in the process of coming back. Proud son of immigrants to Detroit, born on the east side, grew up and actually graduated high school maybe the same year, 95? Graduated high school in Grosse Pointe.
You just gave my age away.
No, that's very, I mean, that's something we should be proud of. So graduated in 95 and really at that point became part of this Detroit diaspora. I left, I went to college in Washington, D.C. I lived in Los Angeles and Austin, Texas. I've been in the New York area for over 12 years. And one thing that I found is that everywhere I went, there was a really strong, even where I grew up in Grosse Pointe, a really strong Grosse Pointe or Detroit contingent. There were people that left for whatever reason and were very proud Detroiters. And over the years, I started to feel, and I was one of them, without a doubt. And over the years, I started to feel a little bit like an imposter. You know, like I'm always so pro-Detroit, everything, but what am I actually doing to help the city come back? I worked for a large real estate investment firm based in California that focused on investing in urban communities and had a lot of institutional investors from around the world. And in 2010, I believe, right before the bankruptcy of the city of Detroit, the City of Detroit Pension Fund interviewed us to allocate investment in our fund and invest in cities throughout the country. And I was one of the city council members asked, well, why wouldn't you invest in Detroit? It seems like everything you do and how you qualify urban communities is exactly what Detroit needs. And I was tasked with the assignment of writing a paper. I was sort of a junior guy, but I had to write a white paper to explain to the City of Detroit why we would not invest in the city and why they should invest with us and diversify into other cities. That was painful, you know. It was honestly, it was absolutely the right thing to do as a fiduciary to capital, because the fundamentals just weren't there. The fundamentals, arguably, still we're all hoping, but something's definitely changed in the past handful of years. There are real fundamentals you can point to. There's job growth, there's interest, there's energy. So a few years ago, I decided to just go all in and look for opportunities in this city, in this state. My hope is that I can bring an institutional audience to consider making investments in Detroit. I don't think it'll be exclusively Detroit, but if I can build an asset management business that's based in Detroit with investor capital that won't put Detroit on the sort of blacklist, then that will be mission accomplished. And so we're off to a good start. So I guess there's a few projects that are up here, not all in Detroit. You know, we've invested in a significant amount of Detroit workforce housing, which is a vital product to the city, and providing dignified housing at affordable pricing is something that the city needs more of, incredibly. We also partnered to invest in, I don't know if any of you all remember the town pump, the old town pump, but it was it was a bar that I think every Wednesday night before Thanksgiving I was at for a couple of decades.
I think I saw you there.
Yeah, definitely. And we actually acquired the building. It's an old hotel with the purpose of renovating into 170 small, efficient apartment buildings, and it's now in the middle of what we hope to be the most vibrant development node in the city, around where the DCI is projected to be, and everything else that's happening with Village Family and Steve Ross and the University of Michigan. So that's an exciting project for me to be a part of. It's been really fun designing and getting it ready to go. And then, look, as they say in real estate or in any investing industry, deals lead to more deals, and have had so much fun meeting folks that have led me to explore other opportunities, looking at something in Grand Rapids, developing a large mixed-use project in Grand Rapids. I didn't know much about Grand Rapids. It's a great market, and it's great for the state, and it's great for Detroit. And even started looking at northern Michigan hospitality. So I will remain very opportunistic. I don't have a very strict thesis on what I will and won't invest in, as long as I feel like there's an opportunity to generate outsized returns. And I'm really happy to be able to focus on this city and this state and not be part of a larger company that has to explain to people why we wouldn't dare invest in Detroit. So happy to be here.
That's a great story. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of our expats who shared their stories today. And again, we videotaped this, so we'll be sharing it with a much larger audience. Thanks to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.